The Devil Wears Prada 2 is a fun sequel to the Meryl Streep and Anne Hathaway classic, with a lot on its mind about the current state of the world. Picking up 20 years after The Devil Wears Prada, the film reintroduces Andy Sachs, a talented journalist who finds herself once more in the orbit of high-fashion magazine, Runway. Tasked with revitalizing the magazine's editorial board following a public scandal that threatens the magazine's reputation, Andy is reunited with her domineering boss, Miranda, and her ever-loyal right hand, Nigel. Andy's efforts to help the paper may initially bristle against Miranda, but they may be the key to saving the magazine. The film tackles a lot of thematic plotlines that reflect the modern world, whether that be the current state of mass media, the ever-changing nature of business, or questions about the enduring respect of the arts. It balances all these issues with a focus on character dynamics, forcing the cast to open up to one another in unexpected ways. The result is a strong sequel that plays with a painfully relevant theme about how modern culture works in the present day. It gives The Devil Wears Prada 2 a sense of thematic weightiness that enhances the subplots and connects it all together through a good moral about people coming together for a greater purpose. Who ends up running Runway in The Devil Wears Prada 2? The Devil Wears Prada 2 sets up a tense conflict over who will be running Runway magazine going forward, with the question causing much of the film's tension and drama. Miranda doesn't like having Andy forced upon her, but her own ambitions to be promoted to the head of the company's media division prompt her to accept it. Andy's involvement seems to ensure Miranda's promotion, only for the death of company chairman Irv and the ascension of his son Jay to complicate matters. Jay's ideas would tear down the magazine, cutting entire departments in the name of quick profitability. This prompts Andy to recruit Emily and her wealthy fiancé Benji to purchase the magazine. However, Emily secretly only agrees to this so that she can take over the magazine, forcing Miranda out of the job. In the end, Andy and Miranda are able to use their connections to get in contact with Benji's ex, Sasha, who purchases the magazine and ensures it remains under Miranda's control. The conflicting groups vying for control of Runway serve as the film's true conflict, as everyone seems to have their own vision for what the magazine could, and should, be. This reflects the larger media landscape of the moment, as well puts pressure on each of the main characters to be overt in their ambitions and with one another. What The Devil Wears Prada 2 says about modern journalism. A major theme of The Devil Wears Prada 2 is the reflection of the current state of journalism and media. Early in the film, Andy, and the rest of the newspaper staff she works with, are unceremoniously fired by their parent company even as they accept awards for their work. This haunts Andy, who takes the runaway position out of desperation. It also explains Andy's underlying concerns for the future of the magazine, as she doesn't want to see another respected paper and its dedicated staff put out to pasture because a largely unconnected company purchases them and pulls them apart for spare parts. Andy argues that there's still a place and necessity for real journalism in culture, regardless of what the new owners say. It's notable that this perspective gradually helps bridge the gap between Andy and Miranda. While the latter isn't necessarily impressed with Andy's well-written but initially unseen stories, Miranda also bristles against the changes she's had to make to the magazine to accommodate things like social media and finance bro-why management. This is also likely why the film's primary antagonists, Jay and Benji, are portrayed as out-of-touch tech bros with little respect for the work being done by Runway. Jay is revealed to have bold plans for the magazine that suggest he has little concern for the magazine's artistic or journalistic worth, only seeing it as a possible investment going forward. Similarly, Benji only has an interest in the magazine because it's what Emily wants. When he speaks to Miranda, he argues that the responsibility of people is to brush everything away to make room for the new. That he says this while indulging in his massive wealth and planning flights to the sun paints him as a surface-level genius. At the core of The Devil Wears Prada 2 is the argument that beauty and culture are more than deserving of respect, which is how magazines like Runway have always operated. In turn, only those who actually respect the magazine's mission and approach are rewarded with control of it, speaking to the film's perspective on the matter. The Devil Wears Prada 2 gives everyone a happy ending. Despite the tensions that largely drive the film, The Devil Wears Prada 2 notably ends pretty happily for everyone involved. Miranda retains her position at Runway thanks to Sasha's backing and is even set up to achieve her intended position. Andy remains with the magazine and finds renewed purpose there, all while continuing her romance with Peter. Nigel is finally recognized by Miranda in the climax, allowing him to take center stage at the major fashion show while she works with Andy to secure Sasha's backing. Even Emily gets a happy ending. Although she ends up left by Benji and her plans for Runway are upended, she closes out the film affirming a friendship with Andy. While Benji and Jay don't get what they initially wanted for the magazine, both men are portrayed as obscenely wealthy and likely just as happy with their new situations. The closest thing to an ambiguous fate in the film is Andy's publisher friend Tessa, whose career might be in question if Andy doesn't move forward with her book about Miranda.